Um, Jumping back to, should we talk about the 4-day work week?
We haven't had this discussion in the office yet.
It's something that I think about all the time. And what sort of come up is The Verge sort of mentioning that game developer Eidos Montreal is switching to a 4-day work week. Um, there, the thing I wanted to bring up here is that I am not opposed to that sort of concept. Um, and the theory around it is that when you decrease your working week, productivity apparently doesn't drop. So you do the same amount of work. There's this whole thing about, people fitting, um, when it comes to workloads, fitting in the workload to the time given. So a task, might take 30 minutes if you've only got 30 minutes, but could take an hour if you've got an hour. I think this is so bigger from a sort of business sense in that it's a game developer. I don't know if you're across sort of all the drama around game development and poor working conditions, Kelsey.
I'm not, but it doesn't sound surprising from my understanding of some of the like tech startups and things in history, Facebook, for example, and just, yeah, long working hours and all that sort of stuff.
Facebook, Tesla, long working hours. Um, I Yeah, like I said, it's an interesting sort of conversation to have. I don't know. There's a comment on the Verge article saying that most of the research into 4-day working weeks show that people have a lot of downtime over the course of a 5-day week, where they're not engaged, where they're making coffee, chatting, and moving to 4 days makes people more engaged and productive over those days. Now, I don't. This is just a comment in the comment section. This might just be someone who, uh, as one of my friends would say, someone who just walked off the street and gave their thoughts on something that they actually didn't have any expertise on. But as an employee, Kelsey, what would what would your response be if I floated that idea in the office?
I think I'd be keen for it. I mean, it adds an extra day to your weekend, which is always positive. And I don't know, I think I'm very deadline driven personally. So I think if I did only have 4 days, let's say, to get something done, I'd probably work better and work harder towards those deadlines. Haven't tested it, so it could be the complete opposite, but that would be my initial reaction. But also, I am coming from the perspective of I've definitely read a lot of stuff about 4-day work weeks over the years of just random news articles popping up and different studies that pop up, and they all sort of say the same thing that I've just said. So it could be very biased from that, reading those studies and things.
The only negative I could think of is being client services. I think we could have issues with whatever day we take off not being available to help clients, which obviously we're really big on, and it does then increase the lag between email on a Friday, get a response on a Monday at the earliest, to email on a Thursday, let's say, and get a response on a Monday, which by that stage, you're almost, as far apart from, like, it's basically, you know, um, half a week, more than half a week gone by that stage. Because, you know, you send an email on day 4 of a work week, you get a response on day 1 of a new work week.
Hmm.
And it, I think, raises an interesting. I mean, you have to shift sort of that sort of mentality, and I don't know how like customer facing businesses would necessarily do the 4-day work week thing.
Yeah,
It's
I think
different when
it's
you're. Sorry, I
sorry.
was just gonna say it's different when you're a game developer because
Yeah.
you're working towards something over a 4-year period, and you don't. I would assume you don't necessarily need to answer client emails immediately or that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think it sort of goes into more of a societal discussion when you're talking about customer facing and client facing businesses, because obviously we can go, yeah, let's go to 4-day work week, but as you said, that'll impact the clients. But if the clients are also in a 4-day work week, there's no issue. But then, of course, you've got e-commerce or just shops, things like that, who operate through the weekends that might need support. um, who already have the issue of not being able to get support, let's say for some websites or whatever, on a Saturday or Sunday, it might be more difficult. So I think there's already some issues that show up in the current setup of things, and it just ends up becoming more of a societal shift, which has happened in the past. I mean, Sundays used to be very much like religion driven, where nothing was open, and now things are open, and businesses have adjusted to that. And obviously, this is going back, I don't know, 60 years or something. But there's definitely like shifts that have happened in the past that have been a real big societal change. So it could happen.
What would
It'll
you
just take
think
time.
about 10 hours a day instead of 8 hours a day, and then getting your work week done in 4 days instead of 5
Mm.
days?
The other, I mean, that sort of plays into a whole other issue, I think, in that all these studies I've read are, I can't name any of them, obviously, but a lot of the studies I've read that sort of say, people only have 4 hours or something of actual productivity in a day, in a regular 8 hour workday. And just imagine if we up that to 10, would it still be just 4 hours of productivity? Would it reduce because you're thinking about a whole 10 hours of work that you've got to get through? I don't know what kind of impact that would have. Or when they talk about moving to a 4 day work week, are they literally saying drop off an entire day? Don't worry about the hours. Keep it to 8 hours a day. Will the work still be done, or does it need to be increased to 10? I think there's a lot of logistical and all those different considerations that would need to go into it.
Oh, so many considerations on I mean, from a business owner point of view, it's really around productivity and client support. Like, not even productivity. It's about how much work can we still get the same amount of work done, because it, it would require us to almost reframe estimates around projects as well, because we've suddenly like, or does it? Are we still going to be as productive? So clients who've been told we'd do something, in 8 weeks or 15 weeks, can we still stay true to that sort of time frame, or are we going to have to push those? It's a big conversation to have again, like a few of the things we've brought up this episode, but again, I think the biggest thing for me was that there's a game developer that's done that. They work on a different, we don't work in a way that we work on a big project for 4 years and then reap the rewards. We work on projects that take 3, 6, maybe 12 months, but not years. So there's different components that goes into what we do and how we work, and different things to consider. But like I said, not totally opposed to the idea, if it
We'll have to have
meant.
more conversations about this.
Exactly. Once we've all had a chance to think about it, I think it's something that we could discuss.